Welcome, everyone. It's that time of the week again on a day earlier, so if it's a little sooner, Inquiring Minds. I'm Hialeah Comic Bro, and as always, I am here with Conquistadorks Javi. Javi, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? What's up? ¿Qué pasa?
¿Qué pasa, man? 2 days, two times today, man. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool, man. Happy to see you again. What's up? What's
Nice,
up?
man. Everything good since the last time?
Everything good? Everything good, man. Everybody in the chat, what's going on? The early birds, Fun Comics, RWO represent. That's right, man. Mr.
Unruly,
Gretzky,
Mr. Grit.
Unruly. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for being here. Everybody watching on the rewind. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yeah, dude. I saw. Did you watch Discovery today? He put us both on the lineup. He goes that we were double dipping.
We're trying to get in the views today, you know?
Yeah, bro. It was funny. I'm glad. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Kudos to Discovery, man.
Oh, of course, man. Hardest
Appreciate
working man
that.
on the biz, for sure.
Appreciate that big time. What's up, Theory?
Theory,
Yo,
Ricardo, what's up?
all
What's
right.
up?
Oh, Ricardo, what's up, man? What's up? Man, I always miss the. God, I don't know. I suck. That's why I have you with me. You know. All right, here we go, man. Our guest for tonight, as many of you might have heard, is Borinken Comics. Boricua.
¿Qué está pasando, Corillo?
¿Cómo está
What's up?
todo?
What's up?
Tranquilo, con mucha calor, el principio del verano, a 2 semanas de que comience la peor temporada para nosotros en Puerto Rico, que es la de huracanes, pero positivo siempre.
Sí, pues, siempre positivo, man.
Yeah, man.
Boricua, I got a feeling, I might be completely wrong, but I don't know if our chat and our viewers know what exactly is a Boricuan.
Well, Borinken, it's what Puerto Rico was used to be called when Indians lived the island. So Borinken is the original name of Puerto Rico. And if you want to know a little more history, it's called Puerto Rico because our port was full of riches, gold, silver, and all those things. So when Spanish people came over, they named it Puerto Rico, the port that's full of riches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're Boricua. Boricuas are.
Boricua is what they called every Puerto Riqueño, but Borinquen, it's like what we first called the island.
Yeah, like the historical. Yeah.
Hey, you want to know something? I looked it up today because I just wanted to make sure I knew what it was. I was pretty close.
Nice.
I looked it up today because I was like, this is the first question I'm going to ask, and I better know the question. I better know the answer, man. So awesome, man. A little fact, okay. Javi's Puerto Rican. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
born and raised.
All
Well, I wouldn't say raised. I was born there. My whole family's there. My whole family's from there. My parents, my brothers and sisters were born there. My parents were born there. My grandparents were born there. So yeah, my
What
whole
part of the
family.
island, Javi?
San Juan.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, my grandparents from my dad's side live in Orocovis.
Okay.
So yeah, like that's like the more countryside.
Yeah.
Boricua, where are you at on the island?
Bayamon. I'm in Bayamon, but I was raised in Guaynabo. It's basically borderline. Both of the towns are borderline.
Yeah.
So I haven't moved that far away from where I grew up.
Are you by the coast? Or are you in
Maybe like 20 minutes on
Okay.
a good day. Like if there's no traffic, like 20 minutes away.
Nice, man. I also have big Puerto Rican connections.
Yeah, what's that?
I get mistaken for Puerto Rican a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because my first wife was Puerto Rican, and I guess it stuck a little because she was, we were together a long time since we were kids, pretty much. And my kids are all half Puerto Rican, and my wife now, her ex was Puerto Rican, and her kids are half Puerto Rican. So there's a lot of Puerto Rican going around here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got a lot of Puerto Rican blood.
You're from Cuba, right? Cuba?
Yeah, I was born here, but my parents were from Cuba. But dude, it's all the same, man. It's just a different island. Dominicans, Puerto Rico. The one thing I've never been to Puerto Rico, man. I gotta hit that on my list. I cannot believe.
Yeah, man.
I've
You
never.
whenever you're over here, let me know so we can do something. And Javi was just recently here, but I missed him.
Oh, were you guys? How fairly was he? Fairly close to you, or?
Yeah, when
It's all
he
pretty close. Yeah.
yeah, everything's like the farthest away from where I am you can be is like an hour.
Nice.
Yeah, but I was in the most like I was in Old San Juan. I went by there. I'm not so familiar with the area, but I was like Plaza de las Americas. I was there
Yeah.
too, where they had the comic book shop.
We're gonna
Yeah.
talk about that because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
now you know the struggle.
Yeah. But that I was with my family. It's it's hard to pull away from your family when I go over there.
Okay.
But
And
I gotta make some time to just like hunt.
you
for
posted
sure.
a lot of beautiful pictures of the country, man.
Dude, that's my parents' backyard or my grandparents' backyard.
Wow.
It's just like they grow all these fruits. It just naturally grows there. They have banana plants. They have everything, pomegranates, crazy stuff.
Yeah, look at Ricardo. We don't have too many Cuban photo superheroes, but we have some Puerto Rican ones and some villains. Hey, so you know what? To that point, your YouTube channel, you do a lot of New Comic Book Day videos. On Instagram, you're always posting books. How do you get books? How is that? I'm dying to know. Is your New Comic Book Day Wednesday? You get the same books we're getting, or are you like a week behind, or how does that work?
Actually,
Man?
my store, the way that things worked out, my store used to get them books on Wednesdays, just like everybody else, right? But because of Maria, the hurricane, we fell behind maybe 2 months, right?
Oh wow.
So this is what I believe happened. I think the store owner, she might have asked permission to sell books on Tuesday
Okay.
because she doesn't have competition here in Puerto Rico.
She like,
It's just her.
there's only one shop, basically.
There's only one shop,
And how close is that one shop to you?
5 minutes away.
Oh, wow.
I hear you, man. That's awesome.
And I guess she got permission to sell all her comics on Tuesday while she catched up, but then she never changed. So if you're a long time buyer, you get your comics on Tuesday. But if you're somebody who's coming in brand new, then you can set them apart on Tuesday, but you got to come in to buy them on Wednesday.
And it's the same books that we're getting on Wednesday? The same
Yeah.
exact.
Yeah, everything. Puerto Rico doesn't have the rights to sell Spanish books either. It's just
Oh, wow.
Mexico right now,
Mhm.
and so we don't get Spanish books.
Dude, so when do the books get there? When do they fly them over? Or I don't know if you would know, but
They come in on a Monday. Usually they pick them up on Mondays, and then they're out for sales on Tuesday at 6, 7, 8, 7 p.m. The store opens early, but our New Comic Book Day starts at 6 p.m.
okay, and that's the one shop. Do you have like spinner racks in the bodegas or anything like that, or is it just her shop?
It's her shop. There's another small shop here in Puerto Rico, pero they don't bring everything in. They'll bring like Marvel comics and DC comics, but they're not big on the indie scene. They make sure that the books that they do bring in does go out. Those books actually sells.
Yeah, they're trying to make it a business more.
Yeah.
So do you put special orders in for stuff? Do you go and look and see New Comic Book Day, or I forget what's that site, Midtown Comics, and you tell her, look, I want to get this and this and this. Do you do that?
Well, it depends. Like if I want to double dip on a book that I really want, I'll make sure that I call my LCS, my regular LCS, and I order the book there, and then I make sure that the store in Mayagüez, which is an hour and a half away, orders the book for me too. And sometimes those got to be special orders. But in my regular LCS, those are going to come in anyways.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so you said indies aren't too big there, right?
Well, at least in the Mayagüez store, they're not that big. But over here in the one that's in the metropolitan area, they do bring a lot of Image books, Dark Horse, and but they don't bring in like Mad Cave Studios or Red 5, nothing like that. Just like Dark Horse, Image, IDW, those kind of indies.
So you got a good selection, man. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Being an island, you know, it's still America, but it's still you know.
Right now, the whole community, like the Puerto Rico comic community, is kind of worried for our store because
oh wow,
the store owner, the original store owner, she had cancer and passed away.
Oh wow.
Right? So her daughter is taking over the store now. And ever since the lockdown happened, we haven't seen any kind of reaching out to the customers like, hey, you have some books here. Do you want to pick them up? Or, hey, can I ship you these books? Or, you know, that kind of effort, you know. So
right.
We've been forced to get books outside Puerto Rico until we get new books. Or, for example, the orders stopped in the States for March 25th, right?
Okay.
That was the last new comic book day.
Right.
Our last new comic book day was April 18th, which means we're missing a week.
Okay.
Right? So there was another situation with the new comic book day on the 18th, right? Books come in, she sorts them out. She doesn't tell us when we're gonna get the books, but then she calls everybody on Monday, a week apart, right? Mm-hmm. She calls everybody, hey, you can pick up your books. All right, so I'm gonna have this, and I'm gonna have this, and I'm gonna have this. Oh, hold up, because that book just went up in price, and it's $25.
No.
Hold up, I got that book in my pull list. What are you talking about? No, that went up in price. It's either you buy it or you don't get it. So we were like, fine, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pay $25 for that. It is what it is, and you know, there's been some kind of shady situations lately going on that we don't like as a community. So a lot of us are. I opened a pull list in Florida.
No shit. Where?
In Comic Spot. It's really close to. I believe that's Perry's store.
Oh, in Tampa.
Oh, okay. In Tampa.
Yeah. And they ship the books to you.
Yeah. The way I did it was that I gave them a full of some of my books, like some of the books that I pick up, and they're gonna ship them to me once a month.
Wow! How big is the comic book community there?
It's fairly big. People don't get together like you guys do in the States, but over here I do have a couple of friends. Like it's like 6 or 7 of us that we buy the books, and then because the shop is inside a mall. We usually just go to the food court and we gather and we talk about comics, and you know we sell comics amongst us and everything else. So it's always fun. We always stick around, and sometimes they gotta throw us out, but it's always fun. Comic cons here are mostly for people who do cosplay. Honestly, there's a lot of people who bring in their short boxes and their long boxes and everything else to sell comics. But there's a misconception is the right word for this. Mm-hmm. There's a misconception that because something is old, it's worth a lot of money.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I bet Javi experienced that when he was here. So a book that you might be able to get for $1 anywhere in the States, they're gonna be asking for $12, $15, $20 here, and it doesn't make sense. It's just because it's a book from 1980.
That's what I was going to ask you. How is the back issues? How do you get? Is there a lot of back issues, or they're like you say they're overpriced?
They're overpriced. We had the one store in Arecibo. It was called Atlantic Comics, and he had a fairly big collection of back issues, right? And he was fair on the prices. I used to love going there to go there because the prices that I got there, there's nobody else would match those prices.
Nice.
But sadly, his store had an incident with some electrical situations. The roof caught on fire.
Wow.
Oh wow!
And then none of the books got, damaged. But then when the bomberos came in, the hose went off and it damaged all the books.
Oh.
So it wasn't the fire that damaged the books; it was the water.
Oh.
Wow, that's a crazy story, man.
That's a shame when there's nothing else. You know.
Yeah. There's small places, like for example, if you go to a flea market, they'll have some books. You just can't expect them to be on the best condition ever.
Bro, check out Ricardo. He's gonna become a comic traficante.
If you can bring back issues here, the comic community is gonna love you, man.
And so you don't.
Well, we'll start shipping long boxes over there. What you need? What you need?
Yeah.
So do you guys? You don't see Silver Age, Bronze Age, anything like that, or very little?
No, there's a lot of '90s books. There's a lot of '90s books. There's a lot of like it's very rare that you see a 25 center or a 12 center or anything like that. Most of the books that we have here are 90 and maybe to like the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of.
I see you're a Venom fan, right?
Huge Venom fan right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I saw
right
that
now, or what do you mean right now? Like you?
Well, the thing is that I just recently got into comic books because I always been kind of a superhero fan, right?
Yeah.
But when news broke out that DC was gonna like redo all the stories back in 2016, I was like, so I think this is a nice point to where I can start reading comics because everything's gonna start all over again.
Right.
And this is a funny story because it didn't happen for me. It didn't happen until 2018. I went into the store, right? And I tell the guy, which I know now personally because he's the store clerk, right?
Right.
And I tell him, yo, so I heard DC is going to rewrite their stories. What can I do about it if I want to read it? He's like, what do you want? I was like, I don't know. I don't know anything about comics. He's like, well, they're going to do Aquaman. They're going to do Flash. They're going to do the Justice League, Batman. Who do you want? I was like, I don't know. Maybe the Justice League. He's like, well, I don't have that book right now. I was like, oh, okay. So what else do you have? What do you want? I was like, man, I'm somebody who's coming in with a blank page who doesn't know anything.
Yeah, I suggest something, right?
Exactly. So it didn't work out. So I left the store beaten. I left the store. I come home. I tell my wife, so this happened in the comic store. She's like, what? Are you serious? I was like, yeah, I don't know what happened. I guess the guy didn't like me.
Wow.
It's like, oh, well, let me see if I can do anything about it. She goes to the comic store the next day. She finds all the books that I wanted.
You didn't ask her.
She brings them home. And that's kind of how the ball started running with this whole comic thing.
You didn't ask, hey, mommy, ¿qué tú hiciste?
I was like, yo, you did something right. Because he didn't want to talk to me.
Did you ever go back to the shop after that?
Yeah. I usually go there like every Tuesday when it's new comic book day. But
so you're good with the guy? You're good with the guy?
Yeah, once we started talking and everything else, I was like, yo, I got to tell you something, man. He's like, what happened? The first time I came here, you treated me like shit, man. And I didn't appreciate that. Not at all. I talk trash about you all the time. He's like, oh, I didn't know you. It's like, well, it's just what happened. It's like, well, are we good now? Yeah, we good now.
You didn't go, wait, you're Margarita's husband? Wait a second, you're Margarita's husband? I'm not saying. Okay, I know. No. What's up, Gorby Doll? Stay pumped, backseat. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for being here, man. A lot of Mexican comic Fantomas, and sometimes I do order from the seller in Puerto Rico. Oh, that's awesome, man. Always good to, support the island, man.
Yeah.
He wants to know if you've ever come across them in Puerto Rico?
No, honestly, no. I've come across Spanish books in Puerto Rico. Like I might have in my collection first Red Hulk in Spanish.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I have one of those.
Hialeah's book. You know about that or no?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't know.
We'll tell you about the Red Hulk.
That's some off-air talk.
I'm the incredible Red Hialeah.
Oh, yeah.
We'll give you the insight on that, but I ain't going to be doing that here.
Yeah. When I went to Puerto Rico, I saw some like Spanish Disney comics, maybe some Spider-Man, but it's like what you would come across. But you're like so right. Any back issue that I would come across was like pretty overpriced. it was kind of hard to find something good at the right price. You know, I saw a Wonder Woman #1, like from the 80s. It was marked at like $60 or $70 or something like that.
I remember you telling me about that. We did a show on your trip. I remember saying that.
I spent hours in that shop too. I spent like probably an hour and a half in that shop, 2 hours maybe, and just like digging, trying to find something good. And I did come across like a nice Batman, the Poison Ivy one from the Hush run.
Okay.
But yeah, man, you know, and that was the comic book shop in the mall. I don't know
That's
if you
the
go
one
there.
in Plaza La America.
Yeah. I don't know if you go there often or if you shop there often.
I go sometimes, but that store, quick story, that store used to be like collectionist store. They had Michael Jordan jerseys and all that. But the store owner decided that they wanted to bring in comics right at the time that the other store owner had passed away, right? So the comic community told her, like, you need to respect her legacy. And if you want to open a store, you can do it, just not right now. So they canceled their plans and they didn't open a new comic book shop, but they do bring in back issues sometimes.
Yeah.
And right now we need them. We are asking that store owner to make the moves so Diamond can deliver books, brand new books there too. Because the one problem that we have, I'm not too shit on my store because they're very nice people and everything else. There's no competition. And where there's no competition, it's a monopoly. And when there's a monopoly, who suffers is the client. So right now we're kind of facing a monopoly, and sometimes situations where they're asking me for $25. If there was a competition, I might be able to go to another store and offer $12 or $15 and tell them, so the other people are selling it in $25. You want to do business with me? Oh yeah, I'll give it to you in $10. You know, that's the kind of thing that competition brings. But because right now we don't have that, everybody suffers.
Te tiene por los huevos.
Sí, obligado. Hey.
Gotcha, man.
Okay, so they're up to date on what's hot too. It's not like they're just, you know, blind to it. They're checking eBay. They might be looking at eBay. They're probably looking at different sites. So
Comic Tom is Puerto Rican.
Comic Tom is Puerto Rican.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Comic
Tom. El Tomás de los cómics.
El Tomás de los cómics. Hey, how did you get into YouTube?
Well, at first, when I started collecting and everything else, I thought I was the only person here in Puerto Rico doing it because at the time I had not met my friends and anything else. So at the time I was like, yo, I want to talk about comics with somebody, but I don't have any friends who are into this. So I jumped into Instagram and I started doing my Instagram thing, and I noticed that there were a lot of more people there. So I noticed people like Rod that do live shows, and I started jumping on YouTube on their shows and everything else. And I was like, well, I can do this. I can definitely do this. And I think I might have a crowd because there's not a lot of Spanish-speaking members in the community who are creating content.
Yeah.
So I called Silos, which is another one of the guys in the community. I was like, I have a proposition for you. There's not a lot of people doing Spanish content. You want to do this with me? And he was like, yeah, hell yeah, I want to do this. And we started doing that for a little while, but then we had to stop prior to the coronavirus and everything else because I went back to college. Nice. So time was kind of constricted and everything else. So I haven't been able to jump as often as I was doing. I was doing it twice a week on Mondays and on Fridays. But now I've not been able to do that as much.
Yeah, I was looking. You guys would do a Spanish and an English, so I think that's perfect.
Yeah, we at first we wanted to reach out to anybody who spoke Spanish, and then we said like listen, there's got to be another way that we can bring people in. So we're gonna have to do also English. He was like, all right, I'll do English too. He's all for it. So we started both things, and my Instagram is specifically devoted to English content. But then my Facebook, the Borinken Comics Facebook page, is completely devoted to Spanish content.
Dude, so
Okay,
you
so you,
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say you do some Facebook content too. I think that was gonna be your question. I don't know.
No, what I was gonna say was you're fairly new to comics. Within 3 years, maybe 2,
Yeah.
3 years, and you're already on Instagram. You got a Facebook.
Yeah.
You're doing YouTube. Dude, that's awesome, bro.
Thank you.
That takes huevos. That takes huevos. No, man, because it's intimidating.
Yeah.
It was intimidating for me to make I was thinking about making a video forever, and I was like, man, I don't know who's gonna. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Finally, I did it, and it's changed my life. And I've been into comics forever. Forever. I got back. I was out. I got back in, but still. So kudos to you, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Definitely,
I think the one thing that pushed me to do it was that misconception of there's not a lot of people doing it here in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I just need to get in touch with anybody.
Yeah.
If it happens that if you're not sharing and interacting with other people, some of your hobbies will die down because your passion is not met with somebody else's passion, and that's usually the way everybody grows, right?
Exactly.
And so I was like, I don't want this to die down because I'm really excited about comics and everything else. And at first, I didn't even know what New Comic Book Day was until I started, listening to you guys, because I would go to my store any day of the week. I was like, I'm there on a Friday, and they have my pull ready.
Yeah.
So one day I was talking to somebody in the community. It's like, so you pick up books on Wednesday? I was like, what do you mean Wednesday? Well, new books come in on Wednesday. I was like, hold on. I called my LCS. Do you guys get books on Wednesday? Yeah. So why haven't I been picking up my books on Friday? So,
we didn't know any better, man. That's just part of learning.
Yeah, it's just part of it. Yeah. But you knew about a pull list and everything, about having a pull list at your shop and everything.
I wish I didn't know about a pull list right now. Honestly, it's very different from having a pull list in the States.
Yeah.
Like Hialeah said, once you get to know other people, you know how things are, how people do their things in the States and everything else. And for example, I know you guys, if you have an open pull list, you get 20% off your books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
at least 10 to 15, 10 to 20.
10 to 15, maybe 20 if you're lucky.
Maybe 20 if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
And if you're a regular customer, you get discounts on back issues also.
Yes.
There's none of that here. There's none of that, and you got to pay taxes for your books.
Yeah.
So we pay 11 and a half percent. Well, 11. That's not something I'm going to be able to say in English. Yo pago 11.5% de taxe.
11.5.
Exactly.
11 and a half. Damn, that's high.
It's very high. It's as high as California, and Puerto Rico fits in California a few thousand times.
I guess it's because it's an island, and the just to transport everything over there, the taxes are going to be higher.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Buying things like comic supplies, things such as bag and boards, boxes. Here in Puerto Rico, it's like I thank God for the people in eBay that sell the bag and boards, and they're not looking like if they're gonna ship it to Puerto Rico, they know they're gonna still make a margin, or they're gonna make a profit, just not as much as sending it to the States, right? Those people don't overcharge us. But when it comes to things like boxes, you order 10 boxes, which is what, $60 anywhere in the States for 10 boxes. You end up paying an additional $95 for shipping. So that's $130 for 10 boxes. That's nothing. We can't do that. I don't buy boxes.
How often do you buy
your? Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead, Javi.
Where do you put your books? Books?
And that's when ingenuity comes in. I bought other boxes, like file boxes.
Yeah,
and they fit 2 comics, and then there's a space in between. That space in between, I fill out with foam.
Yeah,
and then that's kind of like it's as heavy as carrying 2 short boxes at the same time. but my books are protected.
Dude, that's crazy. Hey, we got a couple of
How
more
many-
people. I'm sorry. We got Who Dat. I think we got Backseat.
Yeah, backseat drivers in here.
I want to
Vancouver
shout out.
Comics.
Yeah, I want to shout out Vancouver Comic Junkie. I just recently found him. If you guys want to check out his channel, he's pretty new to YouTube.
Nice.
And he knows his stuff, and he knows what he's getting, and he's got some amazing books, man. If you guys want to check him out, give him a look. I think you're gonna like what you see there, man. Awesome guy.
Shout out to the Canadians. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching, man.
Yeah, super cool. Oh my god, dude. Do you buy a lot from eBay?
I do. I'll buy some out of eBay. Mostly it's supplies, but I do. Ever since the COVID-19 thing started, I've picked up a lot of books in eBay. Mostly because I had a goal for 2020, which was collecting the Walking Dead books, issues 100 through 193. That was kind of my goal to do, and I haven't I decided that 2020 is not going to beat that goal. So I reached out to eBay and I bought some of those books on eBay, which I'd rather have gotten hunting. But I went out and I got great deals on these books from people in the community also. And now I'm missing maybe like 20 books to complete the run.
Of the whole run?
The issues 100 to 193.
93, okay.
Yeah, because the first 100 books, those are going to be hard to get.
Yeah, those are going to be a little harder to get.
Which one was that? Sorry, I was dropping the link in the chat. What run was that?
Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, The Walking Dead. Yeah.
You I imagine you read them, right?
Yeah.
And you watch the show?
Yeah, I'm into the show too.
Walking Dead's big in even still, it's still big in PR.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that watch this show. There's, as in the States, a lot of people lost their interest in the show right after the Negan arc.
Yeah.
Just because they took forever to figure out what they wanted to do with the Negan arc.
Yeah.
So a lot of people kind of dropped the series after that, but there's a lot of people who still watch it.
No, I still watch it a lot. I used to watch it with my wife. She dropped it. My other daughter still watches it with me, and it's actually good. What is it? The Whisperers. I thought they did it really well, but a lot of people moved off.
So far, I've joined what Angela Kang is doing with the show.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it so far. It's been they've kind of revived this series, it was something they needed. Although we're all gonna miss Rick from the show, Andrew Lincoln was the man. Not having him there basically creates a brand new show.
Yeah.
Where everybody can now share the primary role in the story. So now everybody gets to grow. They get that character development and everything else. So it's kind of like a brand new show.
So do you like the comics better or the show better?
That's the one thing that I've been waiting to do. I haven't read one issue of The Walking Dead until I get them. I know the story from the TV show and the comics is something different. So I wasn't aware that The Walking Dead was a comic until much later on. So when they told me, this is a comic.
A lot of people were like that though, yeah.
Yeah, but because Puerto Rico doesn't bring a lot of indie comics, right? Mm-hmm. So when I figured it out, when they told me, I was like, all right, so eventually I'm gonna get into this. But at that point, maybe they were doing 170, issue 170. Okay. So that was kind of like maybe a year ago, something like that, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to get 170 issues. I'm not going to read 170 issues right now to catch up to where the show is or anything like that. So I'll just eventually just wait until it dies down and the run stops, and then I'll go back and hunt the issues, and I'll sit down and I'll read at the whole thing. So Robert Kirkman decided to pull the trigger on 193. I went out and got those books because I know those were going to go up in price real quick. So I bought those, and then I've been backtracking, catching with the rest of the series.
Okay.
Do you read? You could read and trade, man.
Yeah.
Do you get trades over there?
I have 13 volumes, like 13 trades of Walking Dead. Yeah, you can like, and the omnibus is good too. You know,
dude.
The thing is that we got actually my store may have all the volumes there.
I read the continuum. I can never
Compendium.
the compendiums. I read it all in the compendiums.
Yeah.
It's really good, man. I'm a Walking Dead fan. People, I really never talk about it, but I like the Walking Dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say you are in for a treat once you read it. Even that first volume, that first couple 5 issues, you're gonna be like, oh man, that right there hooks you in. And then anything up to like, I'm talking about like trade paperbacks right now, like anything from like volume 2 to like 7, 8 is like you're just like hooked and you're just like nonstop reading. I like that's what it was for me. It's the stories are really, really good. I dug it.
A lot of people knock it, man, but I'm gonna say that first issue of Walking Dead, that whole little story arc with Shane, that I think it ends in 5. That is some good stuff in those first couple of issues, man. That first issue when he wakes up in the hospital and all that it hooks you like that. It's really catchy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I might have read at some point maybe the first arc. I got the book.
Yeah.
Somebody gave it to me, and I might have read it, and I fell in love with it. I started watching the show and everything else. I kept watching the show, and seeing this guy, what's his name? Shane, what's his name? What's his real name?
Yeah, I forget what his name is.
Seeing him die in this series was kind of was bad because I thought Shane was a really good character.
Excellent.
I really enjoyed him in this series. Eventually, he moved on to being the Punisher and everything else.
Yep.
Yeah. But man, Shane was the man.
And he dies fairly early in the comics, man. So in the TV show, he was so good that they dragged that out. They dragged this storyline out for a while. So it's good when they change that up. I enjoy it. I don't mind that. It doesn't have to follow the comic word for word and all that stuff. Hey, what's up, Jeff?
Hey, what's going on, Jeff? Thanks for being here, man.
Look, Unruly, I gotta get that. I want to get I need to read Invincible. I need to get to that. But dude, that's all. What does your wife think of all this, man? Look, you're being interviewed. Some guys in Florida. Do you ever come to the mainland?
Yeah, my brother lives in Mississippi right now. Mm-hmm. So I went there maybe in 2019. Like April 2019, I went over there and I visited a store. And that store, that was people in the States are so much different in Puerto Rico when it comes to the comic community. I walk into the store and this guy tells me, "Oh, so you're a brand new face." So he's a store owner. He tells me, I walk in, you're a brand new face. What are you looking for? And I'm like, hey, yeah, I just came over from Puerto Rico. I'm gonna be here a few days, and I'm just looking for the Walking Dead books. I'm looking to collect issues 170 at that point on forward because they had like a variant for their faces.
Oh yeah, the Sienkiewicz, I believe.
Yeah, Sienkiewicz. Yeah. So I told him this is what I'm looking for. He's like, well, let me see if I have those. He went through the back issues. He pulled out some of those. He's like, so this is the ones that I have. And I was like, man, I can't find these back home. I'm gonna have to go somewhere else. And he's like, no, hold up. Let me do something for you. He goes to the back of the counter and he opens people's pull list that they haven't paid for.
Yeah,
so it's paid. So he goes, he starts looking through them, and he starts pulling books out of those. And he completes my run. He sells them to me. And I'm like, oh man, I appreciate it. He's like, so how's the island been after Maria and everything else? We started talking about it, and this is the moment when I fell in love with the community in the States and everything else because of this guy. He tells me, how do you work on Comic Book Day, on Free Comic Book Day? And I'm like, well, everybody gets a book. And he's like, what do you mean a book? I'm like, just like the one book. Everybody gets one book. It's like, but I order books here and I give out 20 books to people. I'm like, well, that's not the way my store does it. He's like, no, that's impossible. I'm not that serious. It's just one book. It's like, all right, no worries. I have you. He's like, all right.
Okay, wait. Let me ask you a question. Let me say, it's one book of each or just one book?
Just one book. You choose your book and you're good.
Wow. All right, man. I'm
No,
sorry.
No matter, it doesn't matter if you buy anything else in the store, you get one book.
Right.
There's sometimes if the outcome is not so big, you might be able to do the line again, and you'll get more than one book. But it's usually just one or two books.
So what did he do?
So new comic book day comes, like 2 weeks later, I get a notice in the mail because he asked me for my home address and everything else.
Oh,
2
no
weeks
way.
go by, I go pick it up, and it's 4 boxes of new comic book day comics, like 30 issues out of the whole, like 30 of one and 30 of the other, 30 of the other. And I was like, yo, and there was a letter. He was like, make sure everybody gets comics in Puerto Rico. That's not fair.
Yeah.
I called everybody to my home. I opened the boxes here in my house. Come in, take all the books you want. Everybody gets whatever you want. And like I had in my house like 30 people picking up books.
Dude, that's bringing tears to my eyes, man. That's some.
Yeah,
that's
me,
awesome.
yeah, me too. No, not gonna lie. That's like
Wow.
this moment.
What was the name of the shop in Mississippi?
Yeah,
let
we
me,
gotta
let
go
me
there.
it'll come up to my mind in a minute.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a great story, bro.
Some of the books that were left over because there were kids' books. It's the comic community extends to so much more than what we think. We have to reach out. Like the books that were left over, I got together with like a humane society thing that works here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And back in January, a bunch of earthquakes happened. You guys know, right?
Yes.
Right.
So a part of the island in Ponce was affected, and a lot of kids were out of their homes. So they had no toys, they had no electronics or anything else like that. And I got in touch with these people, and we sent out like 300 books, kids' books, for them to read.
Just to keep get it out their mind, right? Just algo para leer.
Sí, para leer y para que mantuviesen la esperanza. Like if there's one thing superheroes will bring, it's hope.
It's hope.
And that's what everybody needs. Like at that moment, that's what everybody needed. Every kid needed. So we make sure that those kids got those books, man.
Wow, dude, that guy we gotta find out that shop, dude. That's
Let me see if I can pull it up in my Instagram real quick. With that, he was really
crazy.
really nice.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
Bro, that's crazy. You know what? You brought up it early, and it's on everybody's mind now. I want to talk about Puerto Rico. I want to talk. How's the COVID over there in Puerto Rico? How is it affecting you guys?
It's way harsher than it is over here, isn't it? Or as far as the restrictions go.
Yes, restrictions are a lot harder. Although we get updates every 20 something days, right? So
updates every 20 days.
Like restrictions wise, every 20 something days. Like it changes every 20 something days. So at first, the reason why all of this happened is because a cruise ship that was denied entry into Jamaica, into Mexico, into a bunch of places was accepted in Puerto Rico because they said they had an emergency going on in the boat, right? They didn't say what kind of emergency. They just said they had somebody who was having breathing problems.
This is before it really got to the point it is today.
We had 0 patients here. Nobody was infected. So the cruise tells them that they have issues with this cruise member that's there, and Puerto Rico tells them, "Oh shit, we'll help. What do you need?"
Yeah.
So send in an air ambulance and take this person off. So they were not supposed to come into the island. They were only supposed to help out the person. But the cruise ship took a shit on us and opened the gates, and everybody got off the boat. And it was 1,200 people coming in the island infecting other people.
Dude, that's kind of like World War Z kind of shit, dude.
Yeah.
Scary.
So right after that.
How is it now? You guys got the mask, the 6 feet,
all of that. and wearing gloves, masks. We have eye protection gear also sometimes. It's a lot of people that use it. I because I have glasses to read, or sunglasses to read, or whatever you call it. I always have mine on, so I don't have anything else to wear. But yeah, at first we didn't have anybody except that person, and then it started multiplying and multiplying. And right now we don't have 100 dead yet. We may have like 60 dead, and maybe like 2,000, 3,000 people sick. Okay. So it's not completely out of control, because as soon as that cruise ship came in and that person tested positive, the whole island went into lockdown.
They acted fast.
Yeah, because if Javi's been here, he knows that for people here in Puerto Rico, we love to hug and kiss, and that's something it's in our nature.
In all of us, bro.
Right?
Un besito, un besito. Un besito. God forbid you don't kiss everybody when you get there, right?
Yeah.
God forbid. Este come mierda, mira este come mierda.
Exacto.
No saluda a nadie. ¿Qué se cree? ¿Qué se cree?
Se cree que tiene chavo, ahora tiene chavo. Mira, porque hace un show en YouTube, ahora no quiere saludar.
No quiere saludar, güey. ¿Qué se cree? ¿Qué se cree? Oh my God, dude. So that's crazy to me, bro. The besitos, they found a way to get rid of besitos.
Yeah. The island wanted to shut down. The government said, you got to stay in home. And later on, they went to things like, if your license plate is 268, you can go out certain days. And if it's 1, 3, 5, you can go other days. And so that worked out for a little bit.
Are you restricted the amount of time you could go out?
You have a curfew, right?
We do have a curfew. You have to be home at 7. You can't be outside. If you're outside after 7 and you're not a nurse or anything like that, you'll get a fine of $5,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah, hey, not for nothing, bro, but Puerto Rico's been hit with some shit the last few years, bro. How was it for you? How was it for you during Maria?
Well, Maria, mostly it was kind of a hard situation for the whole island. So although it didn't affect me personally like it did other people, I do believe that because we're Puerto Rico is such a community, a place that believes in community a lot. Like if you're depressed, I'm gonna try to help you out, but eventually my energy is gonna be drained from helping you, so I'm gonna feel depressed. So the whole island was feeling like that because we were helping each other with things like we didn't have. Like for example, my wife and I, we used to live in another place, right? And when we decided that we needed to move out because I wasn't gonna pay the guy the rent, he was asking for rent. Although we weren't living there, I was using the house as a storage place, basically. And he wanted me to pay rent. I explained, listen, I'm not living here because right now my wife suffers from asthma. If anything happens, there's no electricity here that I can help my wife out. So I got to live somewhere else where there's electricity, even if it's with una planta eléctrica. Yeah. So a generator. So he wanted me to pay the rent. I was like, no, we're going to leave. So I picked everything out and all the groceries that we had that we did grocery shopping before hurricane. That's something common sense for the Puerto Rican. Yeah. And I gave everything out. I went to a place. I was like, here, have everything. We're going to be good. I'm still working. So I'm going to be able to buy stuff. And then the place that I used to work at, because it was connected with the States, we used to get like water from them, ice, food, and all that stuff. And all that stuff that came in for me as an employee, I would hand back to the people because I was being taken care of. My wife and I were being taken care of. So there was a lot of necessity. A lot of people died, sadly, as you guys know at first. The government reported, I think it was 10 people dead, but in reality, it's close to 5,000 directly and indirectly. So there was a lot of situations, as you may know. Also, if you're watching the news, that whole situation started a domino effect within the government. When we started asking the government what happened, we want answers, this and that, and we discovered that there was a chat, like a what's up chat between government officials, where they were.
That was big. That was huge.
Where they found out that they were making fun of our dad.
Yeah.
Like people, like it came to a point where for the forensic department here was piling up bodies in like containers and everything else, and in the floor and in other places, and they were making fun. They were making jokes about that, and the people didn't like it. So the people got together and they did a protest for 15 straight days, and the governor had no option but to resign.
Yeah, he had to step down, and then let me see if I remember right. They brought in the there was a woman that was supposed to take the position, but she didn't want it.
She didn't want it. She's our current governor right now,
but she had to take it.
She had to take it because she's the Justice Department leader. So in Puerto Rico, if there's no governor, the person that takes the place is the Justice Department.
And she didn't want the position. But they made her. And how has she been so far?
Well, she didn't want to take the position because maybe 2 months prior to this whole situation, she had made a decision on a case that was kind of very shady. Yeah. So she was going to be in the spotlight, taking on the government seat, right? But so far, I think overall she hasn't been that bad. She's made all the right decisions when it comes to the COVID-19 thing, making sure that we are locked down, making sure that the restrictions are very strict, because as you also know, Puerto Ricanos and Latinos, we are very challenging people. We don't sit down. We don't take it from a lot of people just like that. So if you make it harder for us
to do, we don't like being told what to do, bro. And
exactly.
We think we know it all, and our way is our way. This shit's never happened. What kind of crap is this? Don't tell me. I told Javi, I went into his comic shop yesterday, and I had it out. I didn't have it out, but I got it. And it was something. But I don't like being told what to do. You know.
Yeah.
So
don't tell me that I can't survive. Or
around. Dude, don't tell me what to do. Anyway, I'm sorry.
that also comes as a defense mechanism, because when we needed the government back in Maria, we were waiting for instructions and nothing happened, and our people died until we started making things happen. And we armed side by side with other Puerto Ricans, we got the ball rolling and things started happening. So that's kind of what happened here with COVID, where the government's not going to do anything, so we're going to have to do something about it. But hold on, because if you do something about it, you're going to get sick. So right now, it's best to, although we have a very corrupt government, to follow their rules, because either following the rules or spreading this shit to a point where it's going to be way harder to handle.
Hey, wait, what is this? What did you do? I didn't do anything. Hey. So, okay, I think if I'm correct, if I remember, Maria hit September of 17. It's been going on almost it'll be 3 years and a few months. How is the island now as far as the effect of Maria? Is it before COVID? How was it? Was it back to normal? The tourism, everything was back up? How everything's good or better?
Most of the island it was on its feet. Most of the businesses and the economic scene was booming again. Tourism is a big thing here in Puerto Rico for us to it's our main thing. It's basically our main thing, because we don't produce anything here. Exactly. We mostly import thing. Yeah. So our tourism is kind of the one thing that holds up the island together. So all of that was kind of booming until the COVID-19 thing. I mean, other than that, it was a hurricane, which I can't remember what it was called, and then it was Maria, and then it was
And then there was another hurricane, right? That like got the tip, and then it was the earthquakes.
exactly the earthquakes, and then COVID-19.
Earthquakes, man. Yeah.
Let me address this real quick with who that. Puerto Rico problem was that it isn't a state and the U.S. government could care less since they aren't a state. My opinion, of course. I love the people there when I visited and one of my 2 places I've been to. Let me ask you a question. Every few years it comes up, is Puerto Rico going to be a state? I believe Puerto Ricans vote on that. Am I correct?
Yeah, there's been 7. We call it plebiscitos. I'm not sure how to translate that, but there's been 7 plebiscitos, and we're gonna get a new one in November.
Okay.
So
Is coming this year?
yeah, the thing is that el plebiscito, it's played out by the government in rule. All right, so we have 3 major parties. It's what they call 3 major parties. We have people who believe in being independent. We have people who believe in el ELA, which is an association with the states, but being able to have our own government, which is kind of where we are right now. And then we have the people who believe in statehood. Okay. So when the people who believe that we should be a state are in charge of the island, they'll do a plebiscito. They'll push it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the times, at this point, the people have chosen statehood. It hasn't been a big margin, but it's been maybe like 54% to 46%, right? So lately, it has come to the point where we want statehood. The people want statehood, and by we I mean the state, right? Everybody. But honestly, in my opinion, and the way I see things, it's not going to happen. Everything is going to be looked at in a business point of view.
Of course.
If I have a business that's booming and you want to be my partner, but you are broke and in bankruptcy, why do I want to associate with you?
Exactly.
I won't. I don't want to associate with you. So the states, it's kind of going through a economic boom right now.
Yeah.
They're at least that's what the news presented here in Puerto Rico.
Right.
And they won't. There's no reason why they're gonna say yes, other than maybe they feel sorry, you know.
Exactly. But, there's no reason. I am totally in agreement with you. There's no reason to stay the way you are. You still get, you get the short end of the stick, because I think Puerto Rico got shit on. Okay, why am I saying? Okay, they got shit on during Maria. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. I'm keeping it at that. I'm not gonna go into it. But, dude, all right. Okay.
Let's just say that we Puerto Ricans are surrounded by big water, and big water is the enemy of the states.
Exactly. But you know what? Look at who that's saying. Some people in the U.S. think Puerto Rico is not even part of the U.S. state, but I'm sorry, but it is. It is. Yeah, status quo. It's going to stay the status quo, and that's fine. Okay. I used to have a friend of mine, and I'm changing the subject, guys. We're doing a left turn. I had a very amazing friend of mine. He came into my life at a very bad time for me. And this guy pretty much saved my life because I was in the dumps. This is a long time ago. And his name was Ozzy, and he was Puerto Rican, bro. And I love this guy. We've lost touch over the years, but I owe this guy. And he had recently come from Puerto Rico. You remind me a lot of him. You guys could be brothers. And I was so surprised, man, because how's the music scene in Puerto Rico? I was thinking all Latin and all this, and this guy was the biggest headbanger there was. He was like the biggest Metallica. He was just, we went clubbing. We used to go to concerts. And is heavy metal still big in Puerto Rico? I'm sure it has its pockets, right?
Yeah, there's a place that I've gone to. I visited myself. It's called Handlebars, like like from the motorcycles.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And it's really big on that rock scene. And they do a bunch of tributes, and they bring people over from the States. I think just recently, before I think it was 2019, they brought in they brought from the States. I think it was like half of the band of System of a Down.
Oh,
They had
wow.
some of those people over here, and they were playing a tribute to them. So they weren't playing, but they were doing a tribute for them. They had them here over here like guests, and they were doing that. But yes, the scene is pretty big. But because most of the younglings now just like that trap music and reggaeton.
Reggaeton, that's got to be the shit there, man.
Yeah, it's
Bad
Puerto
Bunny.
Rico. Yeah, Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
Puerto Rico is.
None of this, bro. I do not. I've heard that Bad Bunny name, but I have no idea what that is. I'm sorry, but that's got to be massive there.
Look at
Puerto Rico's the Mecca.
Pull up Mickey Shack's comment.
Yes, it is part of America.
Yeah, man.
They are Americans.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I know for a fact that a lot of Americans don't know, that we have citizenship and that we are born. And if you are born in Puerto Rico, you're an American citizen. That's the reason why Puerto Rico has such a high people coming over. You know, the whole being from Colombia or Dominican Republic or whatever. You come over here, you get married, and you get a visa. So there's a lot of that. So, but it's fine. It's whatever, man. Honestly, I in no way, shape, or form do I want to be independent. I just don't see it happening, and it's not because my ideales are against it, but it's just because it's gonna set our economy back at least 50 years.
Oh,
So we're gonna have to struggle for the next 50 years if we want to be independiente. It's gonna be another 50 years of having an economic crisis, which I just don't really want to go through.
no, hell no. Hey, real quick, my daughter just popped in. You know, her better half is Cuban, but she is half Puerto Rican. You know, I'm just gonna say that. You know, I always mess with her. When somebody asks you where you're from, you're Cuban, right? Cuban, right, Madison? You know what to say. Stop. Okay. All right. I'm going to deport you. Oh my God. Catch me outside. How about that? Is that Bad Bunny? I don't know who Bad Bunny is, bro. She says she's played it for me. I don't remember.
There's a big like with this whole TikTok thing going on. He has a song that says, y si tu novio no te mama el culo, mejor ni que se venga, right? So
Dude, my daughter's in the chat, bro.
So they're basically they're doing that to like old people. They play that music to old people, and you see them go like this. And when they hear "y si no te mama el culo," the old people go, "What is that?"
Dude, she jumped in at the wrong
Yeah.
time. Totally. we are Miamians. Yeah, that's it. Oh, look at Madison. Look, she's 51% Cuban, 49% Puerto Rican. Perfect. Perfect. Perfect, Maddie. Good answer. And don't listen to anything he just sang, okay?
No, my bad.
It's okay, man. It's okay. I showed her something. Oh, never mind. I'm not even gonna go into that. Sometimes I'm not the smartest.
It's all good. It's all good.
Hey, let me see who that. Puerto Rico's what? Yeah, Spanish American War. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back to the roots for sure.
Exactly, dude. Just get along, bro. We're all the same, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
Over here in Puerto Rico, I was just discussing with my wife before I come on to the show with you guys. We were watching that that documentary on Michelle Obama on Netflix.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
So there's a part of the documentary where they touch base on how Chicago was doing when African Americans started moving into some places in Chicago. And racism is a big thing in the States, right? we do experience that here in Puerto Rico, but because we're a mix of everything,
Yeah.
we don't hate each other like that.
Yeah.
We like Puerto Ricans may talk disrespectfully of other people, like blacks or gays or that kind of thing. But we do it just because we are red-blooded people. Like, we get mad. We like trash talking. It's what we like to do. But at the end of the day, we love each other. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, or yellow. If you're gay, straight, or whatever, we love you. We love each other. It's just that when it comes to arguments, you're not gonna piss in my yard, and you're not gonna allow me to piss in yours, and we're gonna go at it.
It's funny you say that, because I got that same feeling when I went to Cuba. Cuba's a lot like that. Very accepting. You really don't see too much of it. At least I didn't. I wasn't there long, but I didn't see too much of it. But yeah, it's a little different there. What's up, Disco?
What's going on, Disco? And who does? Yeah, man, love talking about all these topics for sure.
Yeah, dude, I really was looking forward to today because I wanted to talk about Puerto Rico and everything going on, and so I was very excited to do this. Oh boy! All right, Madison got me a little off topic.
You're good, brother.
Culo and my daughter.
I feel like
bring it up. You keep bringing it up.
I feel like he's gonna go after the show. He's gonna call her and be like, "I'm gonna need your password for Spotify. We're gonna block this Bad Bunny guy."
Exactly. Hey, you know,
go listen to that song. Is what he's gonna
I'm gonna have to go look. I'm gonna have to go listen. Hey, Biggie, you need to see the rest of this video so you can learn a little bit about Puerto Rico, bro. Yes, they are part of the United States.
So you have a lot of comics? How many? You know?
Yeah, man. Let's get.
Do you have a big collection?
My collection right now, it's about close to 2,500 books.
We have more than me,
in
pretty
3
much.
years since you started collecting.
Yeah. So it's a little more than 10 short boxes.
And how much of that? How much of that is Immortal Hulk?
Well, let's just say it could be half of a box, because if I bought the run until issue 25, and I bought doubles or triples, so I have a lot of those. I also have a lot of Venom books.
Venom too. Yeah, Donny Cates, man. Venom, the Silver Surfer Black, the Guardians. I don't know if you read all of it, but
yeah, I'm into everything Donny Cates is doing right now. Like, when I first started reading books, the first book that I bought after buying the DC Comics Rebirth one, the thing that brought me back into, or made me stay in the comic community, was a Power Rangers book. But when I discovered what Donny Cates was doing with Venom, that was it. There's no going back anymore. I fell in love with it. Like, I read everything. I've gone back and read more Venom stuff, the Lethal Protector stuff. I've read the information or the comics for Maximum Carnage and all that. I was just recently invited to a podcast here in Puerto Rico, a Spanish podcast, and we discussed 30 years of Spider-Man and Venom. 30 years. We did 3 shows of 2 hours each.
Dude, that's impressive, man. That's awesome.
So it was a lot of content that we went through, and it was really fun. It was cool.
Hey, what does your wife think of all this?
My wife is very understanding. Let's just say that. She's at first, when I started doing this, she had her own thing going on because she's a makeup artist. So at that point, this ring light thing that's giving me all the light, that's her stuff. She used to do the makeup thing, and now she went back to college, and she's studying law, so she doesn't have time to do her makeup tutorials and all that. So she started pushing me to, live vicariously. Is that something you guys say, vicariously through me?
yeah,
Because she wanted to do YouTube, she wanted to do the Instagram thing, and all that. And she had to stop because she went back to college. She pushed me. She was like, "Yeah, you need to do it." And when it comes down to spending on books, at one time we sat down because we needed to set a budget, right? So what I said was, let's do this. I promise that out of the 14 days that I work, because I work 14 days, right, every 2 weeks to get paid, I'm going to spend whatever I make one day on books, and then the other 13 days are going to go to whatever other responsibility.
Right.
So the good thing is that when you work at a place where you get paid $10, well, you're going to end up paying $80 on a book. Well, when you work somewhere that pays you $36 an hour, that's $360. And there's no going back on my word, or there's no going back on her word. I got $360 to spend every 2 weeks.
Damn. Dude, are you working from home?
Right now, I'm not working, mostly because I used to work in a bank.
Okay.
And right prior to the COVID-19 happening, I had a situation with one of my bosses, and there's no reason why I need to lie or anything like that.
You don't need to go, dude.
It's all right. It's all right. We just had an argument when it comes down to protection and everything else. I felt like we weren't being protected, so I spoke my mind and I got fired.
Wow, man, I'm sorry to hear that, dude.
That's all right.
Everything's
gonna be all right.
There was a lot of issues with that here too. At my old employer, and a lot of people were upset because they weren't given the protection too. So I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, but certain people that I used to work with left because of that reason, and that's really sucks.
Right now, I'm waiting for. I left that company, and maybe like a week later, I signed contract with somebody else. But that company's not working yet because of the whole COVID-19. So once they give the clearance to go back to work, I'm not unemployed. I'm just not working.
Awesome. You're just not working right now. What about your schooling? You said you went back to college. You're doing that from home still?
Yeah,
that's
doing everything from home. Yeah.
Nice.
And what are you studying? What are you studying?
Psychology.
Nice.
Yeah. It's really cool. Like we haven't opened this door yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and open it real quick. We don't have to dive in if you guys want me to stop, I'll stop. But
no, man, go. This is your show.
I decided to study psychology because back in 2013 my brother was murdered, and I started suffering from PTSD. Right. Wow. So I went to the services here in Puerto Rico. They're called American Psychology Services, APS, I think is what they call. And I went there, and I was sitting there with my mom, and I remember this old lady. She was maybe 86, 87, and she had her young kid with her, and it was so hard to deal with watching all that people, because I was going through my own stuff, right? But watching the elderly go through services that are not good, people that are there because, they get paid to be there. They don't have a passion for it, or they don't have that responsibility of serving people. And I sat there and I looked at all these people that were going through their own stuff. And I remember sitting there and crying, and my mom asking me, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I feel normal. It's just that I can't believe that people with mental health disabilities get so badly treated." Mm-hmm. So I had to go through my whole situation, and my life was kind of stopped for like 5 years because of my mental health situation and getting over that and everything else. But once I got over it, I decided that I wanted to be a psychologist and be able to help people. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm supposed to graduate next summer. So I'm looking forward to that and being able to help people. When that Hurricane Maria situation happened, I quit my job and I signed with like another company that was doing outreach services to people that were affected. And I did a whole year of that, and it was a great experience helping out people and everything else. So that reassured what I wanted to do, my calling, or what I call my calling, right? Reaching out to people and helping and everything else. So hopefully one day I'll have a place where anybody can come in, whether you can pay it or not, whether you need the assistance badly or if you're, on check, what I like to call on check. Have a place, a safe place where you can come in and we can sort things out.
Dude, that's awesome. You're making something come out. A horrible experience, a life-changing has kind of changed the road you're on, in effect, right? Kudos to you.
Taking it positively, and it took you a while, but man, that must have been, and something insane to go through, and you came out on top, and now you're studying and doing better, man.
Dude, and I am in total agreement. Oh, Biggie, you're the best, bro. I'm in total agreement about the mental health because me and my family, we deal with that. And not always the place you go to is the right place, and you got to find the right place because not every place is going to help you. They're just going to push you to the side. There's just going to be a number, and you got to find the right place that's going to help you with the mental illness. And a lot of times it's just changing the drugs, the dosage, the medication, and just finding the right mixture. And that makes all the difference in the world. And continue taking those medications once you do get them. Kudos to you, man. Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
What else I need to? Yeah, you're right, Huda. We're everywhere.
Yeah, the comic community. It's. I love the comic community. People here are so nice. I don't know if you guys noticed today, but I recently got my first lab and I didn't have to pay anything for it. People in the community, they listen.
No, you got it with you? You haven't shown anything, man. If you got anything you want to show, definitely.
Let me get it real quick.
Yeah. Go get that. Yeah, man. He hasn't shared anything. I don't know if he had anything ready, but
the roll with the talks, man. It's been some great talks. We've had some great chat interaction for sure. Thank you everybody for being here. Who Dat, Ricardo, Mike W. Rogers, Biggie Shack, Comics for Thomas, Funk Comics was in here early. Mark, I know Mark is also watching. Car Stock Variant. What's going on, everybody? First Comics in here.
Thank you so much, Madison. I don't know whoever that is, but thank you for coming by. Yeah, dude. Hey, let's see what you got, man. Share some stuff for sure. Oh, I did see that. You had that on Instagram. I did see that, man.
So
that's your lab?
Somebody in the community heard that I was trying to reach out to get the books of The Walking Dead and everything else, and then I got this in the mail today, which is amazing.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it blew me away, man. There's something that we like to call comic karma and everything else, and some people may believe in it or not. But I'm a person that if you need a book or anything like that I have in my collection that I may have double, you need it, I'll send it to you. There's no point of paying anything for it because eventually down the line I'm gonna get a book from somebody that I really wanted, so I'm just gonna pay it forward.
I'm a big proponent of comic karma, and I believe it's true. Many times, me and Javi got some today that we opened up from Unruly. You don't want to say who sent it to you?
Say that again?
You don't want to say who sent it?
He asked me not to say who it was.
Okay. I honor that. That's not a problem, man. But whoever that person, if by chance you're watching this, good for you, man.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
And congratulations, man. That's a beautiful.
Congratulations. How do you like the slab? How do you like the slab? What do you think?
It's amazing, man. I've my collection. In my collection, I don't have any slabs. I do have key issues and everything else, and what Biggie calls bangers, and I have a lot of those. But I just because of the system, how it works here in Puerto Rico, shipping out books and then getting them back and everything else. Well, I'm a little bit worried that I pay for the service and then people they bring it back, but because it's such a way back, the way that works the mailing service works here, it might come in here all banged up, and I lose my money. Right?
Did you know that was coming? Did you know that was coming, or you were getting something, right? You had no idea.
No.
Surprise.
When the package arrived, I got the call from the person. He was like, "Listen, I'm over here, and I want you to come over for a second. You think you can leave your house?" I was like, "Sure, no problem. I'll drive over." And when I got there, he was like, "This is for you," and it was all wrapped up and everything else. And I was like, "What's this?" He's like, "Aren't you looking for Walking Dead books?" I was like, "Yeah, man." Oh, here it is. And I was like, when I opened it, I was like, "Oh shit!" And it's 9.8 Death of Rick Grimes. That's awesome.
That's pretty real. That's sweet. Who is it? Yeah, I'm a slab freak. I am.
I brought these books over because these are some books that I'm looking to get slabbed too. And most of these books hold an emotional value to me, I guess. But this book is one that I showed Biggie recently. It's not open, but I don't know if you can see the outline. It's Thor #1, and it has. Let me open it because I know.
Yeah, you gotta open it. Is that the one that was the misprint?
No, this is from the Donny Cates run, the newest one. This is issue #1, and then there was the blank variant, and Donny Cates signed it for me.
Nice.
A little sketch on it too. So let me show you.
Oh shit!
Oh,
yeah, that's Donny Cates.
Yeah. So I got this from another community member in Texas.
Nice.
He was in one of those signings, and he called me, said, "Hey man, Donny Cates is here. Would you like something?" I was like, "Yes." He sent it over. He didn't charge me anything for it. So this is another book that I got from a community member. That's the comic part of it.
Comic Karma for sure, man.
I'm a Donny Cates fanboy too, so I totally love fun. I love pretty much everything he's written, so I'm a big one.
I got this book recently last summer, and I met Jenny Friesen, and I had her sign it.
Nice.
This is her first professional commission, not her first print book, but her first commission, because this book and Voltron issue 1 came out at the same time, but Voltron, I think it was a week prior. So that's considered her first work printed, but this is her first professional commission, and it's signed by her. And I had a good time talking to her because something that you guys have told me when it comes to conventions over there, you guys have to pay for your signatures and everything else, right?
Pretty much.
The way Puerto Rico does it is that they bring the artists here, they pay for everything. They pay them to show up at the con, they pay them for their hotels, they pay for their food and everything else. But you can't charge a single dollar for your signature. Oh. And you can't put a limit on the amount of books that somebody brings to you either.
So where was this that you met her at a con?
Yeah, Aguada Con. We have 2 major cons here in Puerto Rico. The one that happens in San Juan is called the Puerto Rico Comic Con. And then we have the one in Aguada, which is called Comic Fest Aguada Con. Those are our 2 major cons here in Puerto Rico. So I got to meet her on that, and she signed a bunch of books for me. And she was really nice. She wouldn't give up any information. Like I asked her, what are you guys doing next? She's like, I can't say. Are you going to work something with Marvel? I can't say. Are you working with something with DC? I can't say. So it's a lot of secrecy with her. But she was a really nice person, and I got to talk to her maybe like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, because nobody was in her line. Nobody knew who she was except for like a handful of people.
Yeah. Wow.
How was the crowd? How was it packed? Was there, like you were saying, cosplay is big, so I imagine there was a lot of cosplay, but there was a busy con.
Yeah, there's like, because cosplay here is so big, most of those cons, like our 2 cons usually get packed with people that come over. I should have asked for her number. But when it comes to the like buying books and everything else, you don't see those all that full because they're not out hunting like most of us do.
Right.
They're there for the competitions and seeing other people do cosplay and all that. So
Were there a lot of comic vendors?
yes, there's always comic vendors. There's
From the states? From the states that go
No.
over?
from Puerto Rico, because at one point, I've been told, because I was in my time, but I've been told that at one point Puerto Rico had 3 or 4 LCS open at the same time.
Mhm.
So those people went out of business, but they kept their books.
Gotcha.
So what they do is whenever there's a con or anything like that, they go with the back issues they have, and they sell books.
Nice. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, that does happen here. This is something that I recently picked up, also cover price, and I know everybody's kind of looking for this book right
that
now.
book is blown up, bro. Look at you. How the hell did you get that?
I actually it's a funny story because I was watching
What is
Jim
that?
Comics.
When did that come out?
That book is blown up recently. I think that's like 100. I don't know exact price, but that book is blown up.
Is it a cover? Is it a cover A or is that a variant?
This is a second print for The Good Son, and the reason why it's blown up is other than no being in the cover is because the book itself wasn't sold out. Like the first issue wasn't sold out, but they did order a second print, and the second print only was 1,522 books. So it's very low print.
That's super hot. Everything No is hot as hell.
Yeah.
And I just saw that one, which I don't have, which is okay, but it's gone. It's everything No is hot. Dude, that's awesome that you got that, man. Good for you, man.
Yeah, good for you, man.
Fire. You got some fire.
You're sitting on some money right there, yeah.
I recently I've told this in a few other places and interviews that I've been in. Recently, maybe like 3 months ago, I visited a store and I was looking through the back issues and everything else, and I stumbled upon the first appearance and second appearance of X-23.
Oh wow.
And I asked the guy, so how much do you want for these books? He's like, $450. And I thought he was saying $450. So I said, $450? He's like, no, $4.50 each. And I was like, so $9 for both of the books? He's like, yeah. I was like, here's the money, and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I got in my car and I left. I immediately left. I called all my friends. I sent pictures. Look what I found in this place. And they went over and they found, because I as soon as I saw that book and I paid for it, I left. If I would have kept my cool and kept looking, they found the first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs. The guy that found it paid only $4 for it.
The Teen Titans.
Yeah. Teen
So
Titans.
which NYX did you get? The first?
IX3.
First appearance of X-23 and the second appearance of
3 and 4. 3 and 4. Wow.
Yeah.
I would have done the same thing, dude. I would have paid and left, and I would have been nervous leaving, thinking I was gonna get jumped or somebody else. Like, oh.
When I saw it, I thought I'm gonna buy it and then I'm gonna leave. And then most of my my friends, they were like excited for it, but they also were like, you believe in Comic Corp? And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, you just completely shitted on that because you basically stole that book. I was like, well, I asked.
Mira, the minute you said 450, some kind of light or some kind of bell should have rang in that guy's head, bro.
Yeah, he should have been like, wait, what?
What? Excuse me? What? Well, he didn't say anything. I paid the $9 and I bounced. I left, and then because I'm not a big X-23 fan, I flipped that book, and I ended up selling it for $290, both of the books.
Hey, so you have sold books.
Yeah.
You sell books.
Yeah. But not it's a very rare occasion where I sell a book. It has to be where possibly I have only a copy of the book, and I don't have another issue of it, or if you're
not attached to it.
Yeah, or you insist a lot, because if you tell me, hey bro, so are you looking for? I'm looking for Hulk issue whatever 7,
Right.
and I have a copy or two of it, I'll remember that you need that book, and I'll find a way to get your address and I'll ship it to you. But if you know I have it and you ask for it over and over and over, and I'm just gonna end up telling you it's $100. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
So did you sell that? You sold that to somebody in the island or somebody in the States?
In the island, because I already knew somebody when I picked it up. I already knew somebody who wanted that book. But I told him, listen, I picked up this book, issue the first appearance and the second appearance. I can't sell it to you right away. And the reason why is because I need to make sure that I take pictures and upload it and everything else, because it's content for my output, for my Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And the chance I get to show it and everything else, it's always a way to bring in people to my output. So I can't sell it to you right away, but in a month or two, we'll talk about it. It's like, all right, do your thing, everything else. And when I did that, I did the whole tour thing, showing the book and everything else.
Yeah.
I called him. I was like, yo, I'm ready to let go of the book. Give me a price for it. It's like, no, give me a price. I was like, no, because I only paid $9 for this. So as long as I make $1 more than the $9, I should be good. He was like, well, I'll give you $290. I was like, done deal. Come get it.
Yeah.
Nice. Good for you, bro. Yeah, look, Thomas on the mind, he says he remembers when you posted it on.
I remember when you posted that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's over here. Like there's a lot of back issues and everything else, but when you look through the back issues that there is, it's a possibility you'll find something.
Yeah, that's what the hunt's all about.
I'm impressed though, man, for not being in the hobby that long. You know your books, especially the moderns. You know, I can see that. So kudos to you, bro, to catch that and know what you had in your hand and know that you should feel kind of guilty, but you don't have to feel guilty, bro. You got to know what he has to know what he has. You can't just sell books and not know what you're selling.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not your job to tell him, hey, this is a $450 book. You know, I'll pay. You know, that's not your job. I understand it, but it's not your job. As a seller, you need to know what you're selling.
Yeah, this guy, it's after that situation, after I bought the book, of course, we didn't go into details about that book. I didn't touch the subject anymore, right? Yeah. I would go in regularly to look into the back issues and everything else. And at one point, he asked, do you by any chance do YouTube videos? And I was like, yeah, I do. He's like, oh, okay, because I think I've seen you. It's like, oh, yeah? Yeah, and I wanted to talk to you about it. I was like, I got a little bit nervous because I thought he was going to bring up the book thing. And he was like, I'm not doing so well in my store. My store's not doing so well. Would you like to bring in your show into my store and I'll let you record here and everything else? And, you know, sometimes if you want to pick up something out of the books, you can do it for free, but you need to help me, you know, promote the store. And I was like, yeah, we can definitely do that. But then COVID-19 happened, so we haven't been able to do anything. But he's waiting for something where we can promote his store.
I hope he doesn't watch this. Don't tell him about this.
Oh, good.
Don't share this link or my channel with him. You might not be happy.
But yeah.
Yeah, exactly, guys. You kind of feel a little guilty, but they need to know what we're just like we need to know what we're paying for a book and what it's worth. They're gonna take our money. They ain't gonna say, "Hey, bro, you know you're paying too much." I've never heard anybody tell me I paid too much. You know, I'll take less. So I don't feel guilty when I get a deal. You know, when I come across something, they need to know just like we need to know. All right.
There's a community member that he goes by Grab Those Keys. I'm not sure if you guys know him.
I do watch. I'm sub to his channel. I used to watch him a lot. He only does the new comic books, and he gets great books. Yeah, he does. I know exactly that. That he starts with the thunder. His videos also with like the thunder. Yeah. So
I talk to him on a regular basis, and sometimes we've talked about how sometimes you're looking for a book that it doesn't come your way. It doesn't come your way when you least expect it. That's when the book shows up, and then you get it for a great price. And recently I was talking to him about it and everything else, and then this book, the Good Son book, hit my attention, because the way that I found that book, because I was looking for it when that third print came out, or not it came out, but when the third print blew up in price, I said, all right, so the trend is covers with no. And I went into my head, all right, so what's a cover that I know for a fact knows in and nobody's talked about? Good Son. So I was like, all right, so where can I find this book? I looked through eBay, I looked through Amazon, I looked through sellers, nothing. I sit down because I'm watching content on YouTube, and then I hear Jim Comics say, oh yeah, because I recently ordered some books from Golden Apple Comics. It's like Golden Apple Comics. I Googled it. They have an online store. They had one left. And it was
one left?
Yeah.
Good for you, bro. Good for you.
So,
Good for you. That's just work. That's just doing your work. You know, that's like I have a friend of mine that the other day he came across a great freaking deal, man. You know that yellow Wolverine cover that's hot as hell, and he was able to get some of those off of Emerald City Comic Con webpage, and yeah. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm just happy he got his yellow cover. I'm just messing with you, Javi. I'm just messing with you. Bro, hey, so anyway, we've been going through, we're over an hour, we're almost at an hour and 40 minutes, man. So I think I'm gonna call it Borinken. You got anything coming up in your channel?
Right now, I'm mostly doing content for Instagram. My focus is on Instagram right now because of time constrictions and everything else. But yes, I do want to make some content. And honestly, the reason why I haven't really been driven to make more content is because sitting down and talking to a camera for an hour, it's by yourself, is kind of not that fun. So I've been trying to, reach out and make sure that I touch the right people. That sounded a little naughty. Reach out to the people, the community, make those connections, and someday I'll be like, hey, howdy, Hialeah, do you want to come in my show? And yeah, we'll do something. And I know people like Kirk and Biggie and Rod and Edwin and all those people I can reach out to, and we'll do something. It's just that I have to make the time, and then I have to make the right time for everybody and everything else. But right now, you can look for me on Instagram. It's Borinken Comics, just like it's written right there. And we can keep the conversation going there. If you need any books, I get my books on Tuesday once all of this is settled. If you're missing a book, if there's a book you won't be able to get on your LCS because it's sold out, and you reach out everywhere you can't find it, it's a possibility you'll find it in Puerto Rico. So you reach out to me. I won't charge you anything as long as you pay for the book and the shipping. I'll make sure you can get it. Good
for you, bro. And your videos, I like what your videos, when you do your new comic book days, you keep them short, man. It's not a video that's, it's not a pre-recorded video that's going to go for an hour. It's 10 minutes. You get to the point, 10, 15 minutes tops. That's pretty much what you want, man. You don't want the attention span. People usually check out if you go too long on those pre-recorded. So you're doing it right, dude. Kudos to you, man. What about you, Javi? You got anything going on?
Conquistador channel, probably going to be doing a Silver Age Sunday stream this Sunday, and then probably more future content. Check us out. And then Thursday, thinking it's a Wednesday. Thursday, we're going to be doing the auction / comic book sale on Bait the Snakes channel. So go check that out for sure. Bait the Snakes channel.
And did you guys get a time yet, or it's just going to be probably after 8?
6:30 p.m.
6:30 p.m. Thursday.
Yeah, that's when we're going to start. 6:30 p.m. ST.
Eastern.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, guys. Borinken, I just want to say thank you so much, bro. This was a blast. I mean, the time really flew. Great spending time. The first time we've been on together, and I've been wanting to hook up with you for a while, man. So thank you. Thank your wife. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing, man. I learned a lot.
Thank you, man.
Everybody else did. I think everybody else did. Javi, thank you to you. We're going to be, I don't got nothing really set up on my channel except for next week. We're back to Wednesdays for Inquiring Minds, and that'll be 9 o'clock Wednesday. Our guest is already booked. Looking forward to that, like I do every week. Guys, stay safe. Be good to each other, man, and collect those comics, man. New comic book day today, man. Tomorrow. Woo! Well, here it is. I'm sorry, Borinken. I don't know about over there, but over here it is. I don't mean to rub it in your face, but man, we're happy here. Be good, everybody, and
be good, guys,
and take care.
Be safe, guys.